When I first started making content, I thought that I needed the best camera possible, the most fancy equipment, the best lights I could find, or the best possible edits I could add to my videos. And while those things are all super great, that's not the thing that actually matters when trying to get views on videos. In my experience, the biggest thing that matters is how well that you can tell a story. And if you haven't mastered the art of storytelling, your videos are just not gonna do well. You're gonna think the algorithm hates you, and worst of all, you might burn out and you might quit. But if you're one of those people who's struggling to be able to tell good stories in their videos, this video is exactly for you. And the thing is, it is literally so simple that I broke it down into just 4 simple steps that I'm going to talk about in this video today. And as soon as I learned these 4 principles, not only did it make my videos easier to make and easier to repeat, but I instantly saw more views on my videos. I was getting better engagement, and most importantly, I was making more money as well. Now I know this because I have posted hundreds of videos across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. I have over 120,000 followers across all of the platforms, hundreds of millions of views, tens of millions of likes, and I've made a good amount of money while doing it. But one of my biggest regrets is not knowing these 4 principles a little bit earlier, because if I did, I would have grown a whole lot quicker. So in this video, I'm going to break down my exact 4-step framework that I use to make all of my videos across all of my social media platforms. If you do enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel. I make videos every single week talking about topics just like this one. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, before I actually break down this 4-step framework, I want to just talk a little bit about the algorithm. People spend so much time trying to figure out the algorithm. They try all these different strategies. They're trying to find the best trends. And as soon as it doesn't work, they immediately think the algorithm hates them. They think they're shadow banned. They're wondering why TikTok hates them for whatever reason. In fact, the algorithm actually wants you to do good. They want people to be watching videos on their platforms, because these platforms, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, they make all of their money off of ad revenue. And when people are on their platform for longer, watching more high quality videos, companies have more opportunities to place ads in front of those people. So they want you to make good videos, and they want you to keep putting out content on their platforms, and they want people to watch your videos for as long as possible. But it is just so competitive now, so you have to make sure you're making the best video possible that gets the viewer for staying as long as possible. And this 4-step framework is exactly how you make those better videos that actually perform better and keep people watching for much longer. Now, before you even make a single video in the first place, you need to make sure that you actually have an idea that people are actually interested in. So the first step of this 4-piece framework is all about the premise of your video. I think one thing that is just super important to realize early on is that you can copy other people. If there's a topic that's going super viral in your niche right now, you can do that too. But the thing is, you just have to put your own unique spin on it. For example, my accounts are all in the sports niche. One of the most popular players in all of the NFL is Lamar Jackson. And there's this stat that's been going around about how he's tied for the all-time lead for passer rating. Now, I could just go on the video and talk about that like everybody else would, but I thought to myself, how can I talk about this in a way that hasn't been talked about before? I started thinking he was doubted a lot in college. People thought he should play running back or switch to wide receiver, and people were saying that he shouldn't have been a quarterback at all. So then I started thinking, well, what if I kind of take that story and merge it in with this stat and turn it into like this overarching story about how a guy who wasn't even supposed to be a quarterback in the NFL now holds the all-time NFL passing rating record. So I used that idea, which is still something that has been talked about a lot on different social media accounts, but then I used my own unique angle to make it something with a whole new perspective. And I think that's what you have to do. You can talk about any topic that you like. And I actually recommend you talk about stuff that's already being talked about in your niche, but just talk about it in a way that just hasn't been talked about before. If you're making content about celebrities, try and think about unique ways you could talk about them while still staying on the same trends that are being talked about, if that makes sense. For me, I think the most important thing is just trying to take what's working and just adding your own unique angle to it. And by doing that, it makes your videos more original. More people are going to be interested in what you have to say because it's not been talked about before. And ultimately that helps the retention because you're adding a new type of angle to things that have already been talked about before that have proven to do well on these platforms. And when you get better retention and people are watching the video more, that ultimately is what pushes out videos more and more the algorithm, and you're going to get more and more views by having that unique angle on your videos. So now that you have your unique angle, it's time to do the next step of this framework, which is just all about crafting the perfect hook. You could have the best 57 seconds of a 60-second video ever. You could give as much context as you want. You could show all these different motion graphics. you could have the most perfect captions, you could be doing all this stuff. But if you can't capture the viewer's attention in the first 3 seconds, no one's gonna know you did that. So crafting the perfect hook is by far the most important part of actually writing a good script that does well on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Now, my favorite style of hook is creating some type of curiosity gap. I'm gonna use this Lamar Jackson example a lot because I just posted this video recently and it got hundreds of thousands of views across all the different platforms. I wanted to make this stat sound like something that just nobody knew about and only I did. So what I did was I said this: the greatest passer rating in NFL history belongs to somebody that almost nobody originally guesses. Now, if you kind of see what I did there, I'm basically immediately making the viewer curious as to who I'm talking about. If I'm a viewer, I'm thinking like, well, who is this guy even talking about? And who is this quarterback that holds this record that was apparently never supposed to even be a quarterback in the first place? Because I could have just got on that video and said, Lamar Jackson is tied for the all-time lead for passer rating in the NFL. And if I said it that way, then like there's no reason for the viewer to continue staying because they got the payoff immediately. So by adding in that layer of a curiosity gap in your hook, it's just gonna make your videos do way better. So I think by far the hook is the most important part when creating a good short form video script. The viewer is immediately gonna be interested in what you have to say for the remainder of the video. Now, once you have the viewer's attention, it's important to actually keep their attention. So this next piece of the framework is all about tension. As soon as you get the user's attention, you need to raise the stakes. Take a look at how I immediately raised the stakes in this Lamar Jackson video. Because it doesn't belong to Tom Brady, it doesn't belong to Drew Brees, and it doesn't even belong to Patrick Mahomes. In fact, it belongs to somebody who most people thought shouldn't have even played quarterback in the first place. As you can see, I just started immediately naming some of the best quarterbacks in NFL history and saying that it's not any of those guys, and in fact, it was somebody who really was never supposed to even be a quarterback in the first place. That immediately raises tension for the viewer, and they're wondering to themselves, well, if it's not any of these all-time great quarterbacks, who is this guy even talking about, and who is this player that has this record? And then immediately after I started raising the stakes, I talked about some of the context. For example, in this video, I talked about how Lamar Jackson was kind of doubted in college. He was known for his running, and the fact that people were saying he should be a receiver, people were saying he should be a running back. So like the viewer can kind of piece it together, but they still don't fully know what I'm talking about. So they're gonna continue to watch to know who I'm even talking about. So you can see exactly how I do that in this video. Because for years, this quarterback heard the same criticism over and over. He can't throw, he's really just a running back, and he will never make it as an NFL quarterback. Another thing that I really like doing in my videos is something called a rehook. And basically what that is just trying to spark the curiosity gap again. A couple of really good ways to do that is somewhere throughout like the middle of the video, you can say something like, but almost nobody expected what was about to happen next. And right after that, I start building the tension again. I talk about how Lamar Jackson started getting better and better. He became better in the pocket. He became a more efficient passer. He was throwing touchdowns. He was not throwing any interceptions. And really, like the whole format of this script is trying to just keep building up more tension and tension, trying to keep raising the stakes so that the viewer is just so eager to figure out who I'm talking about in the end. And you'll see I even add another rehook about 15 or so seconds after the first one. Again, to just kind of do that same exact thing, which is just kind of get that curiosity to be flowing again. But even after he won his first MVP, people were still saying he can't throw the ball. But the numbers tell a completely different story. A good way that I like to put it is if there's no tension, there is no retention. Always make sure you're trying to raise the stakes somehow. Try and add some of those rehooks throughout the video, and I guarantee your retention will be so much better. I promise. And now the final piece of this framework is the payoff. You have to deliver on your promise. If it's a question, you have to answer it. If it's some fact, you have to reveal it. It is all about rewarding the viewer for actually staying for the full 60 seconds or however long your video is. You have to just leave them satisfied. For example, in this video about Lamar Jackson, maybe the viewer was kind of thinking it was him the whole time. I kind of hinted at it a little bit throughout the video. And then when I finally at the end say that it was indeed Lamar Jackson, that just solidifies the whole script and it leaves the viewer satisfied. They might even leave a comment saying, oh, I knew it was Lamar Jackson the whole time. And really, it's all about making sure you get that engagement, because people don't share videos just because they watch them. They share videos because they got something from them. People spend so much time trying to figure out the algorithm. But the reality is the algorithm is just trying to figure out who actually enjoys your content. And it all starts with being able to tell really good stories. So I really hope this video helps simplify the entire process from start to finish when making high quality short form videos. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm somebody who has started from the ground up. I started with absolutely nothing. All I had was a phone and CapCut Mobile. And after making like literally hundreds and hundreds of videos, I have realized that like none of the fancy stuff matters. All you have to do is be able to tell a good story and people will watch your content, I promise you. So I hope this framework makes everything a whole lot simpler for you, and I hope you're able to actually apply these principles into when you make your own videos, and hopefully it makes it a whole lot more easy and a whole lot more repeatable as well. So if you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel, and I will see you guys next week.